the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode 238 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Big shout out to all of you people that have emailed me. Really appreciate you guys kind of just contacting me, saying how much you enjoy the podcast. Quite a few of you have actually been devouring the episodes, I think were your words. So there's enough there, I think, to keep you busy for quite some time, but I'm sure you'll get very bored of hearing my voice after a while. So anyway, in most podcasts, I try to just answer the questions, give a little bit of input there, and try and get as much information out of our guests as possible. But anyway, today we're going to be talking to Mariel Gracia. She has been on the podcast before. It was probably a while back. She's a real estate agent in the Central Valley, so around San Jose area of Costa Rica, and she is a real estate agent for Two Costa Rica Real Estate. So today we're going to be talking to her, kind of get an idea of what's happening, I would say, in the Central Valley market, which is maybe predominantly a local market, but definitely more expats moving here, as you have all the benefits of the beautiful weather that we have here in Costa Rica, while having all the benefits of access to all the Costco, the cinemas, etc. And you can actually be kind of out in the countryside with all the monkeys and stuff, and within 30 minutes be in the city or at the airport if you need to. So yeah, we're going to be talking to her, kind of getting an idea of what's going on there. Remember, guys, if you're looking to do anything here in Costa Rica, whether that's investing, relocation, buying land, building, and just want to chat with us, I say, we've got 30 minutes for everyone. If you email us info@investingcostarrica.com, that's info@investingcostarrica.com, that comes straight to me. Also in the description down below is actually links. You can click there basically and organize a time to chat with us for 30 minutes. Even if you have no intention of doing business with us, have a chat with us, and we'll just give you kind of some great advice. I think anyone that has chatted with us is know that we're in no BS. If we don't think it's right, or that, like, I don't know, you'll be being led up the garden path, as we say, we'll definitely tell you here, So yeah. Anyway, let's get straight into the podcast. Good afternoon, Mariel. How are you doing?
How are you, Richard? Really good, and you?
Very, very good. I appreciate you taking time out of what I know is a very busy day for you. And you've become a mother last year, so congratulations. But very much appreciate you taking time to share your knowledge with everybody here on the podcast.
Thank you for your time. Happy to share my content.
Awesome. Well, Mariel, I mean, the first question I like to ask is just to give people a little bit of an idea of kind of what's happening in the market. We've seen quite a bit of volatility in Western markets recently. I think that that's probably here to stay for the foreseeable future. I don't have a crystal ball, but, I think it probably is. But I mean, what are you seeing happening here kind of in the more Central Valley market?
So I am seeing a lot of increase on demand on the Central Valley, and there has been since January a lot of movement, and a lot of American and Canadians specifically moving to the Central Valley, honestly, like never before, because of their political situation, regardless of what party they're from.
Yep.
But also, I think more foreigners are investing on the Central Valley because it has amenities that the coast doesn't, like hospitals and more private schools. So that makes the Central Valley more appealing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just need to understand. I mean, the climate here is spectacular. I mean, I live up here in the Central Valley. We're talking here, guys. There's basically by the San Jose airport, we have like San Jose, Heredia, Catargo, Alajuela, and the mountains around it. And you can literally get majority of climates that you want by just going higher or going lower.
There are so many microclimates within a 20-minute drive, which is very interesting.
Yep.
But I'm also starting to see, so originally I have always sold specifically Escazú and Santana, like only those two cities. We also cover as a company more areas within the Central Valley, but now our clients don't want only to live in Escazú and Santana. They are exploring further areas such as Atenas, Ciudad Colón, or Los Reyes. So
Yeah.
it's getting very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of just all pushing out west, if that makes sense.
Correct. I would say in terms of the Central Valley, when it comes to foreigners, they always prefer the west side of the Central Valley, like you're saying, and the east side, like Curridabat, Monterán area, is more for the Costa Rican families.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I definitely agree. I think the eastern side of San Jose is very much more, I'd say Costa Rican families, but has a Costa Rican flavor as well. I mean, but you've got like Barrio Escalante over there, which is very hip as well. Some great restaurants. I mean, I think some of the best restaurants are probably in that part of the city.
I think so too. The cuisine there, it's amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, you've seen a lot more demand, kind of, I suppose, post November here in the Central Valley. And is it more families are doing that demand? Are they looking to relocate here, or investors, or?
It's a combination, I would say, of three specific niche markets. So the first and most like bigger niche market would be families that are moving long term,
Yep.
let's say from 4 years to 20 years,
Yep.
that have small kids. So they're putting them in private schools within the Central Valley. Then I would say the second most important niche is older couples that are around 60 years plus that want to retire in the Central Valley, but close to hospitals like SEMA or Clínica Bíblica. And then another niche, which is not that popular, but I'm starting to see clients invest with this scenario, would be like young couples that are digital nomads.
Yep.
They want to live in the city because they feel that they have more amenities and more services than in the beach.
Yeah. And how recently has the market behaved in the Central Valley as at the beach? Because, at the beach, I'm seeing words like price reductions, even a couple of fire sales, even though they're not fire sales, if that makes like those words a year ago were not being used. Now they are. I mean, is any of that reaching the Central Valley or not really?
To be honest, not really. There's always a 10 to 15% margin of negotiation when it
Yep.
comes to a sale, but I wouldn't say that we're on the fire sale phase yet, to
Yep.
be honest.
And I mean, typically buyers in the Central Valley, I mean, what percent would you say are local? Is it like 90% locals and 10% foreign? I mean, how does your mix of clientele look?
So from on the pandemic, it was like 80% foreigners,
Yep.
20% Costa Ricans.
Yep.
Then post pandemic, it was like 50-50.
Yep.
But right now we're seeing a swap, and I was talking to that with my colleagues, where I would say 80% of the clients are Americans,
Well,
specifically from United States. So it's very interesting.
well, I
And
mean,
I,
go ahead.
sorry
Sorry.
to
No, no, you
interrupt,
go. You
and
go
I
ahead.
have a projection and a gut feeling that it's going to remain the same until the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's great value in the Central Valley for properties as well. I mean, the beach is very expensive, whereas here in the Central Valley I mean, there are wide options from $150,000 up to, millions and millions, of course.
I
Uh,
agree.
so yeah, it's a wider gambit. And at the beach for $150,000, you don't really get much at all.
No, it's very interesting because for example, in San Jose, you can easily get a three-bedroom townhouse with a nice garden for $250,000. So
Yep.
that's a great value. On the beach, that would get you a one-bedroom apartment or a loft.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, I mean, I think it's interesting for anyone listening here is just because, living here in the Central Valley is great because the climate is like 65 to 85, 65 at night, 85 during the day. If you want to be at the beach in an hour and a half, you can be at the closest beach. If you want to be in the jungle, I mean, literally probably within 20 minutes, you could be there. If you want to be in the mountains, 20 or 30 minutes, like it really offers everything. Great schools, international baccalaureate, American high schools, and all the facilities of living in a big city, basically, without feeling like you're in a city. Because I don't think people understand of like, okay, there's 4 million people in the Central Valley, but like it's not like that's all spread out. Like you go 30 minutes out and like you can not have neighbors if you want to.
It is. It's so interesting because not only that sense of uniqueness and exclusivity, but I also think it's so it's so appealing to foreigners, but also to Costa Ricans because you can, if you want, you never get bored. You can easily
Yep.
take a road trip on the weekends and go to a waterfall or go to the forest. So it offers like the best of both worlds, a little bit of city, but it's also a very cozy part of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Do you think, I mean, a lot of people look to Costa Rica to invest as well. A lot of people are trying to diversify out. Do you think it's a better, I would say, investment to invest in the Central Valley compared to the beach areas, or what are the opportunities? Where do you think those opportunities lie?
I think if you have a family, now that I'm a mom, I would definitely invest in the Central Valley instead of the coast because I truly believe we definitely have a better standard of education, like
Yep.
of higher education. So I would really invest in the Central Valley. Right now, actually, today I had a closing and I was talking to the buyers that were also starting to see universities from abroad, like the University of Texas is in Escazú,
Yep.
and the students graduate with a American diploma. So that's another great option.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, you have to really come down to, the Central Valley just to understand how metropolitan it really is. If you want, New World, you can have New World. If you want old Tico World, you can have old Tico World. Like there's a mix of everything here.
Right. And I also think it's so important that before any client buys a property, they sit down with their agent or just sit down as a family and check their priorities. Because if they are nature lovers and love the ocean, clearly they should invest in the coast.
Yep.
But if they want to have like a social gatherings and go out at night to nice restaurants, I think the city is the best option.
Maria, this question always comes up from people looking to move or invest in Costa Rica. And maybe it's easier in the Central Valley. Like, is it easier to get financing on properties for foreigners in Central Valley than at the beach?
Not as easy, but there are options.
Okay.
Like, for example, Banco General, the general manager is a really good friend of mine, and they will finance foreigners
Yep.
if you have a corporation here. So I do know like a lot of entities that will finance foreigners.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered, like, is it easier in the city than it is at the beach? Because again, sometimes if the bank did have to foreclose on a property, it'd probably be a little easier to do that in the city and then resell it, because the local market is pretty strong here. So, um,
Another phenomenon I'm seeing right now, which is pretty common, it's like the fourth case I'm seeing within a month, is that there is so much demand on the city that owner financing is becoming very normal.
yeah,
And a lot of clients prefer that because um, the owner financing like perk is that it's given fixed rate
yep,
for the time frame being.
yeah,
So that's very interesting.
yeah. What are the areas of the Central Valley that are doing really well at the moment? You would be like, look, that's a good place to invest. And then I'm going to
I
ask you the same question of like in 5 years, like where would you be investing for 5 years?
Excellent. So right now, I think the top three cities to invest are first Escazú.
Yep.
I think that's the most developed city within the Central Valley, and it has a very expat feeling. So most of my clients buy in Escazú. Second, Santa Ana. I think the beauty of Santana is that it's developed, but it also has a lot of green areas.
Yep.
So if you're looking for garden and green area, that's the place to invest. And third, I would say Romaser and Savannah, that
Yep.
it's like the surroundings of the National Stadium. That's like for urban lovers or for vertical rise living, but that's the place to be.
And not those three areas. I mean, if you were investing for the long term, Marielle, where would you be investing?
Believe it or not, I love Los Reyes, which is
Yep.
this gated community in Guasima. I think Guasima, it's up and coming, so I would invest there. There's nice, like big amount of land for a good price, so I think that will have a lot of appraisal. And I also believe Atenas will have a lot of appraisal in the short, medium term range because Atenas is known for having the best climate in the country,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I
it
mean,
also has that expat community, but it has this huge area of green space.
but I mean, would you move a family to tennis, or do you think it's more kind of retirees? Because it's been known as like a retiree destination, right?
I think Atenas would be for retirees or for older couples.
Yep.
And then for families, I would definitely move with my daughter and my partner to Los Reyes. I think that's a family community.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes away from country day school, so it's a good option.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I owned a lot in Los Manzanos for years, Mariel. I was going to, we were going to move out there. It's just that sometimes the traffic getting in and out. And I have two good neighbors, like my neighbors are great. So in the end, we just decided, okay, I'm gonna build into my garden a little bit and kind of extend the house. But I agree, Los Reyes, Esprival, all those areas out there are just absolutely beautiful. Because like, again, you can be in the city in 20, 30 minutes. You have all the schools out there. Like you don't really ever need to leave if you don't want to.
Right. And that takes me to another point that I wanted to share with you, which is traffic is becoming heavier. That's the
Yep.
reality.
Yep.
But something that I always tell to potential clients or to friends is invest on a maximum 30-minute drive radio from your work. So
Yep.
that's my number one tip. Like if you work in Escazú, it doesn't make a lot of sense to move to Los Reyes, right? Because
Yeah.
on rush hour, it can take you an hour.
Yep.
So always invest where your social circle is, but also where you work. So
Yeah.
it's easier to commute.
Which areas of the country do you think are going to see the most development? Well, let's just say around the Central Valley area, because Gracia is moving pretty, fast at the moment because we have the free trade zone going out there. San Ramon maybe is getting, because it keeps kind of moving out a little bit. I mean, which are the areas that you think, that I would say for any of the speculative investors out there? Because like Los Reyes is established and like non-established areas, which areas would you say, you could take a punt on those?
I would I would definitely bet on, believe it or not, on Arenal. Arenal is getting, they are investing so much in infrastructure,
Yep.
uh, close to La Fortuna, but also the outskirts. And I would also say the outskirts of Chiripo.
Yep.
A lot of clients of mine from Europe are moving there and they're
Yep.
building this community and restaurants. So I would be putting my money on those assets. Those are the
I,
top two cities.
I did not pay you to say Arenal because again, we have a lot of investments in Arenal. So, but look, I agree. I mean, one that keeps coming on my radar is Monteverde. So next week I'm going to Monteverde to scout out and kind of take a look at some stuff. Because I mean, I have an investment fund and we sit on, millions of dollars of cash, and I'm always looking to kind of develop, I would say, cool stuff. Like I just don't want to develop land. Like I want to kind of build cool stuff and change kind of the face of, I would say, tourism and construction a little bit in Costa Rica, even though I annoy the crap out of the architects, I'm sure. But yeah, I agree with you on that, Fortuna.
And you didn't ask me, but I personally think, because I like to research the whole country, right, as a macro scale, before, like on the past 5 years, the common destination for coastal investment was Guanacaste, like Tamarindo, Papagayo. But I think right now the place that people want to live is Manuel Antonio.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm seeing and what I am perceiving
Go.
because it's closer to the city, and
Yeah.
that's more appealing. It's only a 3 hour drive.
But I mean, the problem with and I see the problem with Manuel Antonio, Mariel, because we're invested there as well. And again, this is not a paid advertisement, and I've not even, I don't think Mariel is even aware, but like, there's not that much land, if that makes sense. Like out the back of Manuel Antonio, there is as you get out towards Quepos and all that kind of Managua and everything out there. But like in Manuel Antonio, I mean, it literally is a mountain, and like, there's not that much land available.
That's true, but that's when you're gonna start seeing a lot of resales.
Yeah.
Like something that we're starting to see here, it's that, believe it or not, here in the Central Valley, you have a lot of product, you have a lot of listings
Yep.
compared to the coast, which you have a limited portfolio. But something I'm starting to see, and we are facing right now, is that clients wanting a specific product that maybe we don't have enough. So we're knocking on doors of previous sales we did to
Yep.
see if our clients from the past want to resell.
Yep. Well, I'm actually having lunch with Scott tomorrow because I'm like, Scott, what do you want me to buy and remodel? Like, tell me what you want me to do. So I always ask that question to anyone in real estate of like, what do you wish that you had had? Because a lot of the time I'll go and develop it, but typically I'm asking tourism, what do you wish that you had? And then we go and do it. But I'm also want to ask the realtors and be like, what do you wish you had?
if I could give you my feedback
Yeah, I'd love it.
as what my clients want and what I wish we had as a country from a realtor's point of view, I think we need more one level homes
Yep.
because everything is becoming vertical, but my clients that want to retire here cannot have staircases.
Yep.
So I think that's what we need. We need one level layouts without semi stairs. And I think developers should focus on that. I know it's more expensive because vertical
Well,
clearly.
not always though. I mean, yes, a little bit, but sometimes not, if it's done properly. So, but yeah, I got a sense that this year is going to be interesting, Mariel, but just because I think the pieces are going to continue to move, if that makes sense, as they have done over the past couple of years, until we find some form of settling. But I don't know what that settling looks like or when it's going to happen.
I think so too. I think Costa Rica is getting well positioned,
Yep.
worldwide speaking, and I think a lot of people will come here.
We finally got the ICT arrival numbers for January, and I think we were only down I think it was like 1% or something, 1.4%. It wasn't that much. And from North America, Canadians was the biggest drop, but the US didn't. It was up 0.4%. I think. I think we were down from Europe like 9%. But there's a lot of things happening in Europe at the moment with elections and everything as well. But pretty interesting that in January from the United States, we did not see, quite the opposite. We went up a little bit.
Wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, I was expecting to see the numbers actually a little worse because when they take 20 odd days to come out, usually the ICT is like polishing them a little bit. So yeah, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into those numbers and see what's happening there. But Mario, I've kept you long enough. So my last question for you, which I'd love to ask everyone: if you inherited $500,000 and you had to invest it into a business or into real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in and why?
I would buy land in Guanacaste from a
Yep.
developer I know that sells the parcels, like a 5,000 square meter parcel for 50K. I
Yep.
would buy like four and then build a house in each one of them and rent them in Airbnb. Because
Wow.
clearly I believe in real estate because that's what I do.
Yep.
I like things that I can touch that are solid. And I think that Costa Rica will have great appraisals. So
Yeah.
property management is the way to go.
Whereabouts
Like
in Guanacaste are those lots, Mariel, if you don't mind me asking?
those lots, they have different projects, but they are in Miramar, close to
Okay.
Liberia, and
Yep.
they are ocean view.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. Well, Marielle, I very much appreciate your time and sharing all of your knowledge and expertise with us here on the podcast. Anyone that wants to contact Marielle, I'll put all of the contact details down in the description. But very much appreciate you joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much for your time. You have a lovely week.
You too. Bye. Guys, great podcast there with Marielle. I think it was just, we'd like to try and give you a little bit of perspective and a little bit of change here. And the Central Valley is really, around San Jose and all those mountains around there. There are a lot of developments around there. And again, houses. I mean, you can buy houses for like $100,000, $120,000, 3 bedrooms, townhomes. In some areas of the country. I mean, Escazú, Santana that she mentioned is probably some of the most expensive areas, but there are other areas. I live in Heredia myself, and I mean, you can buy a 2 3 bedroom home here for $150,000 in some areas. So just lots of different opportunity. And I think anyone that's listening that's a family, I know the idea of the beach sounds great, but a lot of people actually come and stay here in the city. They rent first and they end up not moving just because the comforts of being here is great. The climate is amazing. You don't need AC. And like tomorrow, I fly to Tamarindo. I'm there in, 35, 40 minutes. I fly to Mount Antonio. I'm there in 15. I fly to Arenal. I'm there in 15. Like there is so much. It's so easy to move around. But anyway, anyone that wants to chat with Marielle, you can do everything. All of her contact details are down there in the description. Guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, please give us a thumbs up, 5 stars. Remember, if you're looking to do anything in Costa Rica, please don't hesitate, guys, just to reach out and send us an email, info@investingcostarica.com, info@investingcostarica.com. I always say that the realtors' Jedi mind tricks don't work on us, and we're very, very honest with our clients. I just had a conversation basically with a client beforehand who was looking to invest in a property in Avianas. And, it's a pre-development deal. And I just gave her the risks of it. And she's like, Rich, every time I speak to you, I'm running in all with my heart and everything, but every time I speak to you, you give me a very logical viewpoint on stuff. And that's really our goal, is just to give you the information and perspective to make an informed decision, guys, whatever that decision may be. We're not here to push stuff on you. And I think that you'll find that real quick as soon as you start chatting with us, of just like, we'll just give you it, as it is. But again, it is just our perspective. So you need to get a variety of different perspectives. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Again, if you want to reach out to us, info@investingcostarica.com. All of the details down in the description. But until the next podcast, we'll see you later. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.